start day 2 here, CWL Anaheim. And yeah, we've got our open bracket teams making it into pool play now. And this, a lot of people will kind of write off and just give it to that pool play team. But Rogue, they're coming up, a bit of a sneaky team and got some familiar names in as well.
Yeah, it's always kind of hard for these teams to come out of that open bracket, right? It's such a long grind. You have so many games to play. And then to come in, you get up against a good Epsilon team who, right now is sitting up top in their group, have the chance to kind of, take that #1 seed.
Well, of course, Epsilon right now are in the first seed position. They win this, they pretty much solidify it to my knowledge. However, I'm sure some things can always change. Epsilon looking really strong, though. Yesterday, they played against LG. They took those down. And going back and forth, they seem to find it easier against the North Americans and struggling against their fellow Europeans, of course, being in red reserve. However, Epsilon versus Rogue. Map 1 will be Hardpoint Retaliation. And this is where I do expect, of course, I know a little bit more about Epsilon being that European team.
Do you?
This is where I expect them to be in a comfortable position.
Yeah, and Dave, I believe, leading all Slayers in terms of kills per game. Not KD. I believe that's formal at this moment in time. Not a surprise there. I mean, pretty straightforward tournament from that point POV. But I know Dave, very good at just picking up tons of kills. Very aggressive. NV4 in his hands on this map. You expect him to dominate in a game like this.
I just want to put odds on Dave winking at the camera during this series. I think we're 50-50 on that one, but I'm
probably pretty good.
Yeah, maybe.
Not as good as like memeing for the camera like Octane. Octane seems to have it down pretty well. Every time we cut to him, like he's got some kind of facial expression or some kind of hand gesture. Dave's right there with him though.
Absolutely. Retail, of course, being on Hardpoint straight away. This is where you're going to see that aggressive kind of start, but you're also going to see a bit of versatility from Epsilon in particular. You're going to see those kind of long-range gunfights, those MV4s coming out. But Josh joining this squad, if you guys didn't know, of course, ex-Splice member, he obviously wanted to leave at the very start, and he saw a lot of potential in these young guns. However, from the likes of Johnny, Nelson and co, they'll be trying to take one for the team, and I don't think Epsilon will be expecting much from Rogue, and I think they may underestimate them.
Yeah, I mean, Epsilon is a team that could come in and definitely kind of overlook a team like Rogue. And the dangerous thing with some of these teams coming from the open bracket, especially with some experienced players like Nelson and Johnny, is that these guys are warmed up. They played a ton of games coming into this match.
So much Call of Duty action. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think Panda actually filled in for LG.
Yes, in Paris, yeah.
Yeah, in Paris. That was obviously a big experience for him. It made a bit of a name for himself. But Josh is going to kick it off with a double there, and they're going to take control of the hardpoint, being on the bridge. Vortex adding to the tally as well. But all 4 members down. Not a great start for Rogue.
Nope, not ideal. Everybody dies at the beginning of the game. You don't have any kills on the board here early. It is just Epsilon dominating Rogue, 19 points and counting. See the players on Rogue, they're spawning very far away, but they're getting a little bit of a slip on. Oh, God, RX actually destroys Josh there. Some bad shots coming out of Josh, but lucky for him, he's got Dave on his team doing work on the bridge. They will hold on to the hard point.
Yeah, that's an MV4 up close for you. And that's one thing, talking about saying he does very, very well. However, so far so good for Epsilon. 31-3 and counting. Will be rotating down to that lower street, but it doesn't look like Rogue are giving these last 10 seconds up too easy. They will have those last 5, but the rotation coming in, it's actually Nelson first there.
He's some big kills if Nelson can pick him up, because the rest of his teammates are coming from that top side of the minimap over by the bridge, but Epsilon not putting a lot of pressure on him. It's quite weird from Epsilon. You figure, maybe they come down and try and collapse on Nelson. There's only one player there. Just a little bit slow, and now Rogue is going to get this time.
Yep, and strong stuff from Rogue. Epsilon starting to go in a bit one by one and not working out for them. However, stringing a few kills together is Dave and Josh. Panda and Johnny answering back with the double himself. And now these next couple of gun engagements could determine the last 30 seconds. Of course, you've got to be thinking about those next rotations to Cathedral. They're so important, and we're going to see Epsilon take control. And for 25 seconds, it looks like Rogue are backing down.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. You see on the minimap, everybody for Rogue on that left-hand side setting up for Cathedral. But to give up 20 seconds, that's a lot of time here at the beginning of this game. Epsilon just needs one good string of kills, and they'll break this next hard point, and they'd be in very good spot to take this map 1.
I'm really not sure about that last push. Nelson just kind of going to that lower street. I think he will get an alright spawn though, because his teammates are set up. However, pushing through, we do have Josh and Dave. They're going to be combining at this top market here. But maybe a pinch coming in. A good setup for Rogue right now, but a Scarab is in use. Can it help them? Johnny's going to get the first kill.
He's got 2 players attacking from the market. He's able to get another one and keep his life just for a short amount of time before Hockey takes him out, but Nelson able to take Hockey out of play as it's going to be Rogue taking the lead now. They got off to a very slow start, but starting to mount a very good hardpoint game here against Epsilon.
Yeah, this is showing why they've fought their way through open bracket. They've taken down everyone in the back. You can't shoot through the window, and fortunately for Josh, he gets away with his life for now. However, Dave and Hawkey do fall, and Josh maybe is the next one. Yes, he is, and we're going to see Rogue. Great hold there.
To be fair, I would have assumed you could have shoot through that window as well.
I did.
Yeah,
well,
I was like, okay, he's going to kill this guy. Maybe not. It's impenetrable glass there. So you see GodderX still picks up the kill, but it's going to be Epsilon down by plenty here as we go over to the broken building, but they do have a setup here. So we'll see if Rogue can break this, because Epsilon can just make all that time they lost to Cathedral up right here.
On the back foot it is Vortex. He's going to pick up the first, and that's got RX going down. And just looking at Rogue, the positioning will be spawning at that back bridge, and one thing I don't want him to do is just start running in one by one. They really need to work together and not just feed Epsilon, not only the score, but also those payloads will be coming in later on. 76 points and counting. Epsilon, they stay strong. Hawkey is going to go down. Big plays there from GodderX.
And Hawkey probably doesn't even need to challenge that, right? I mean, he can let those players from Rogue get inside of the hard point where he has the K-bar versus the players with the NV4. Better chance to win that gunfight at close quarters.
And a lot of these guys, of course, Epsilon first game of the day, as well as Rogue here. They're coming in Saturday, maybe a little bit cold. We'll see who comes in hot, though. And so far, Rogue, they may be the first to break 100. 13 seconds will be rotating to that middle hallway. And it looks like Epsilon have secured those last 10.
And this is a group where the teams are very close. You know, Epsilon, Luminosity, and I believe, Red Reserve and Envy, all very close in terms of overall record.
Yes.
This is a group where Rogue can come in. If they take a game or two, they could potentially, find themselves in a race for first or second place.
Absolutely. They pick up one, and they're on terms, on the same level as the likes of Envy. Who'd have thought it? Hawkey. That's a bad grenade going on to Vortex here and fighting back and forth here. This is going to be a bit scrappy, but Nelson takes it by the scruff of the neck and takes down 2. Another team kill coming in. This time, it's on the face of Rogue. 104 to 104, 30 seconds left. And Rogue are in control. And you see God here, the one thing that he is doing is pushing out, he's getting control, and he's really putting Epsilon under pressure.
I believe Vortex on the side of Epsilon did earn score streaks during that last hard point. So we'll have to go on board, check with him, and see if he actually did earn those. I believe we were cycling through one of the players on Epsilon. They did earn score streaks. So you'll have those for Cathedral, potentially on Bridge if we get towards the end of the game. Pay attention to those score streaks.
Yeah, he does have the Bombardment and Trinity Rocket, however, on a 3-kill streak. In fact, both is Johnny and GodderX. So pushing round, can they extend on this? Both their teammates are going to go down. Johnny taking off that 3-kill streak. But maybe a Trinity Rocket is on the cards for Rogue. Going high, trying to take down Vortex. That's going to take some damage himself. And the Flechette coming in as well. We're going to see the Scarab pulled into action. But talking about this bridge, Epsilon dominated it the first time. Will it repeat itself?
So it looks like early it's going to be GodderX flying in, still on this 4 streak. He's going to earn himself a Scarab and just going to kind of drop down in such a difficult position, right? Because he's trying to play for those streaks, play a little bit more passive. But when his teammates aren't picking up the kills, he's like, well, now I have to go in and challenge this hard point. He's not able to earn any of those streaks we talk about on Retaliation. One of the maps where you can put streaks to really good use.
Yeah, and of course, if you are a little bit unfamiliar with the European squad, of course, a couple of the members placing 4th at COD XP. However, they've got one thing on their mind, it's that stage 2, the playoffs, the COD champs around the corner. And at the moment, they're trailing by 7. We're trying to get into it. It's Dave, he's going to pick up the double there. It's 14-11 is his score, but a 2-kill streak. He's working towards that Trinity Rocket. He's not using a Scarab. He's using 3 lethal score streaks there.
Oh, and with the way he goes on these runs, you'd expect him to do so. And I have a question for you, Phil. I know you would know better than me. Now, this Epsilon team, the core 3, right? Dave, Hawkey, Vortex, very good last year at COD XP, COD Champs. They end up in the top 4. At the beginning of this game, they were not really a big player in Europe. What happened between COD Champs last year and the start of this year?
It really was their own wrongdoing. They started slow, and when pro points were so important, they were slacking. They weren't going into the 2Ks fully focused. They missed a couple of them. They fell behind, and they always were, chasing. And they came into a couple of the MLGs actually being in open bracket because of that. But what they have done is they brought Josh on board. Of course, Desire went to Elevate at this point, and this is a squad now that has really not only found themselves great placements, they've racked up a couple of pro points, and now solid pool play position, and they're taking it to some of North America's finest. So we'll see how they can do and whether they can replicate Of course, the 4th place finish at COD XP, fantastic stuff. But I think Josh really has, you know, made this team a very well-rounded squad.
And that is actually a huge play you saw there. So the Trinity rocket comes in. Vortex, I believe, only gets 1 with it. His 2 teammates drop, but Dave picks up 1. Vortex comes out of the Trinity, picks up 1 more, and those 2 players alone break this Cathedral hardpoint.
One good thing we can see at this moment in time, it's not one particular player going off. I say that, Vortex 21 and 14. Great stuff so far. Dave trying to pick up another double. Yes, he will. Camo is available. More than likely going to save that for a later date, though. He's going to slap another magazine in, and there we go. The team push from Epsilon will retake, but with only 15 seconds, have they given Broken all to Rogue? There is one player being a bit sneaky. It's Vortex, but he's all alone.
He's trying to make a play before Broken comes up. You can pick up some of these kills. If you hold this position, you can spawn the players on Rogue pretty far out, but it's going to be Johnny on the bridge, able to pick up 2. You maybe think about investing the active camo if you're Epsilon into this hardpoint.
Yeah, this is a hardpoint where you can really take 40, 50 points. However, with only 50 left to go, Rogue are in a very good position, not only to take the lead, but to really give themselves a good lead going into the hallway, and maybe that final one, but got RX finding 2 with their backs turned. And pinched in. Johnny's gonna clean that one up. Fantastic play from Rogue. Gonna see Vortex try and bite back, but at the moment, the numbers are against them.
But with a lot of time left on this hardpoint, Phil, you could see Rogue get up to like 248, basically putting this game away. If they can hold on to the rest of this hill, be a huge first map win for Rogue coming out of the open bracket.
And there you go. What we see, Dave not investing the active camo. You know, he opts to save that for a later date. However, you pointed out, we could be ending this hardpoint on about 245. And you know what? No one from Epsilon is even close. And you see Johnny pushing out the right thing to do. He's now got his active camo. This should be Rogue's with only 7 points left. You can see Panda, he wants to secure it right now.
Oh, this would be a big choke if Rogue ends up losing this game. Epsilon gets in and controls Hotel Hallway. 3 kills go in favor of Rogue, and that'll be it. It'll be Rogue from the open bracket taking map number 1 here against Epsilon, 250 to 203.
That is seed number 1 currently in this pool. Losing map 1 to an open bracket team. For me, that's what I like to see. I like to see upset straight away. Nelson, a kind of a big name in the community, which, you know, sometimes a bit comes across like controversy. You know,
controversial would be a very nice way to say
he makes
some of the things that Nelson's done.
But all in all, great stuff from Rogue. Anything that stood out for you? Any plays in particular from that?
You know, they were just pretty strong throughout. Like Epsilon really just on the bridge. Like that's where they kind of got a lot of their score, and then you saw Rogue, I believe it was the first Cathedral hardpoint. That's where they really got a good chunk of time and put the game in their favor. Yeah,
and of course, score streaks, we talked about it. I'm actually thinking, you know, did Dave even, you know, get to use that camo? You know, did he save it a little bit too much?
I didn't see him get a chance to use it. You probably need, well, it's so difficult, right? Because the game is so fast. So you're trying to, you know, get back towards the hard point. You don't really think about doing the math of if you give up all of that time to the opposing team, how much time's actually left in the game. So Dave at that moment was probably like, okay, you know, we'll get another crack at it. We'll be able to go to Hotel Hallway. We'll be able to go to Bridge again. Probably not really kind of thinking like, oh, well, there's another 30 seconds on this. They can get to 248, 247. We're pretty much done if we don't get in.
Well, Game 1 is done. It's done and dusted. 250 to 203. We're going to be moving on to Crusher, Search and Destroy. Now, Rogue, I'll be the first to hold my hands up and say, I don't know Rogue's S&D at all. This is a squad coming into CWL Anaheim, and, you know, I know Epsilon, they can be a strong S&D squad, but also they have had their moments where they can throw away 5-0 leads. I've seen them come back from 5-0. They're very inconsistent sometimes, but I hope they've worked on it, because what we saw at the likes of CWL Birmingham, they have what it takes to take down the likes of Splice on Search and Destroy.
Yeah, I almost feel like Epsilon's great play yesterday is like bad for them today. I feel like they're not really great when they play as the favorite in these matchups, because they come in and they take other teams lightly and they have a lot of, you know, misplays and whatnot. And quickly, Epsilon can find themselves out of this series, right? I mean, Rogue goes up 2-0. They have a very good chance of closing that series out. And then Epsilon, all the great things you did against very tough competition yesterday goes completely out the window. So a very important series for Epsilon to kind of get focused up.
Yeah, and talking of yesterday, I mean, they were kind of on the feature stations a little bit. I saw, you know, Epsilon both against Envy and LG. They both took map 1 against them. You know, they're not used to being 1-0 down, and how these younger players cope with this when they're on the main stage, maybe that's kind of coming into this. We know Josh has been up there 10, 20 times. However, for the likes of Vortex, Hawkey, it's maybe a little bit newer for those guys, and hopefully they can put it to the side, they can, you know, come into this. Because you could say the same about Rogue.
I mean, we've seen Josh choke some really big games, I mean, at big events in the past, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that may be kind of the one knock on him as a player. Like, you know, big situations, like sometimes he kind of crumbles mentally. So I think it's really important, you know, him as the leader of this Epsilon team needs to kind of right this ship in the right way. I mean, you know, you got the other 3 players, they were fantastic last year at COD Champs, but they played out of in. I mean, nobody really kind of expected them to do much of anything on the way in. We talked to them, maybe a dark horse team, you know, maybe somebody who can upset some teams, but not get to that top 4 level. So they didn't really have that type of pressure that they have on them now.
Okay, well, the one thing that I was saying all day yesterday on the desk was, whichever open bracket team goes into Pool B, good luck, have fun. Because these 4 are 4 fantastic teams, and so far Rogue, I know it's only 1 map in, but they've made a statement. They said they can hang with the best, and see if this will be a drawn-out series. I think this could be going to a Game 5, potentially.
I think so as well. I think this group is very tough, but you have Luminosity, obviously, I think, you know, very strong team. You know, they lose yesterday to Epsilon, but they kind of get those 2 wins right after that. Envious has not looked good this weekend. Red Reserve, I think, has actually been really strong. Red Reserve has looked very good this weekend, so I think they're a very tough team. You have Epsilon, who comes in right now sitting tops of the group, but they're a team that is prone to overlooking some teams. So this is a group where, although very tough squads in it, no, somebody can kind of sneak their way up to potentially that number 2 spot.
Yeah, we could see an absolute... we could see the likes of Envious, for example, which you're used to seeing top in pools. They could be bottom, you know, or just below, or just above, sorry. 5 teams, of course, now in each pool. Envious, they've got a job to do today.
Yeah, I believe Envious and Red Reserve are both 1-2 right now. And I believe Red Reserve has like a 7 and 8 map count, and Envious is 3 and 8. So it just shows, like, Envy, they win that 1 series, and then they're not able to get any more maps on the board. So Red Reserve has played a lot of teams tough, even coming out of another relegation tournament.
Absolutely. We'll be jumping on board with map number 2, S&D Crusher, very, very soon. Our players just getting back into the lobby and getting into the game. Josh, you know, for a lot of his career, he was kind of, you know, brought up by those veteran players, the likes of Tommy, Swanee, and, you know, now he finds himself that veteran player on the likes of Epsilon, so he's got to fill those shoes, and I think he's very happy doing it. He likes to kind of have that control and to be almost, you know, the master, if you like, and kind of directing his squad.
It's just the changes in European Call of Duty as a whole, right? You know, you have Tommy now playing with young gun guys on Fnatic. You have Mad Cat, who now finds himself as the veteran on a team like Splice, where, you know, in the past we were looking and it's like Tommy and Swanee kind of, you know, Mad Cat's the young guy. Now, like, the roles have really changed. You see a lot of good up-and-coming talent in Europe. And a lot of these, you know, veterans are kind of getting spread out amongst the teams, you know, trying to kind of cultivate them into really powerhouse squads.
Well, that's what happens when you know, feed Bant and Zero into the European scene. They break it all
people
apart.
Like you stop playing. That's what happens.
Well, yeah.
They get people like you, McGee, out of the way. Find some real talent.
Me and McGee are most certainly out of the way, and going on to S&D Crusher. Again, I've said it before, I don't really know what to expect from Rogue's S&D. From Epsilon, I think maybe fast-paced, standard stuff, and, you know, wolfpacking. That's what they do best, and at the moment, we're going to see a very, very fast-paced push from Rogue. In particular, the first one into the building is Rogue, and, is Got a Rex. Rogue destroyed. Josh answers back with 2. He's now a 2v2. This is fast and action-packed. It's all up to Josh. He needs to pull off the ace. And he's found both of them, tagged them both, but unable to clean up.
And I feel like open bracket teams coming in to play against the pro squads, the game mode where they could have the advantage is search and destroy, right? Because you can change a lot of the game just in terms of pace. You know, a lot of these pro teams used to a lot of action going over towards the B-bomb site, not a lot of action towards A. So Rogue has a lot of tools that they can use in this game to kind of swing things in their favor.
1-0 up in the series, 1-0 up in the map. As we jump on board with Epsilon, see what their attack is like. It looks like Rogue favoring that A-bomb site, but as well, Epsilon, they're going straight for it. We're going to get them to butt heads in the middle. This time, Nelson comes off better. Make it 2, and Rogue are showing their strength here in search and destroy. But Hawkeye, he's going to make a double himself, and all like that is over. I know Nelson picked up 3 there, but these rounds, my goodness.
The aggression that is coming out of Rogue right now. Just between ERADs and the RPR Evo. A lot of action forced in Epsilon's face. Definitely a shock to Epsilon.
How they adapt and change this, you know, I'll be very intrigued. Do Epsilon, you know, just continue to play their game because it's not working right now? Because they know what to expect. They've played the likes of Envy and LG times and times before, but Rogue, They have that element of surprise, and you know, it's the same as usual. It's Nelson getting up close and personal with the RPR Evo. And again, 2 go down, a 2v4 for Epsilon. Make it a 1v4. It's all up to Josh.
Epsilon knows we've started, right? I mean,
oh my God.
He's not going to be able to kill everybody. I mean, it's going to be a 3-0 lead for Rogue. But man, I mean, Epsilon has just come out in these first 3 rounds, just got wiped off the board. Rogue has looked very strong in search and destroy, you know, playing at a very fast pace, in-your-face aggression, and Epsilon has not been able to deal with it thus far.
Nelson's getting hyped. That's what you don't want as Epsilon as well. Him getting hyped on the main stage, he's pumping up his team, he's 5-1 individually, he's working towards that camo, working towards those streaks as well. And a bit of a different game plan in round number 4.
Well, the one thing when you saw Nelson play on 100 Thieves last year is that he was very good in search and destroy. I believe the one game we saw 100 Thieves win, he was very good in their search and destroy in that one. But see, it's now going to be a quick 1v1. Josh wins it there, gets it on the board for Epsilon. But I think, you know, Johnny and Nelson, 2 players who can be very good in search and destroy.
And that shows a lot. 3 rounds today, and we see them all go to Rogue. This time over at B, we're going to see Epsilon take control. It'd be very shocking to see them continue to go to A, with B being such a, well, to be honest, we see a lot of action going down on B. We've not seen any until that round. Let's see if the boys of Rogue continue at A.
It looks like that's what's going to be the play. As Rogue is going to have trying to guard RX, trying to get here through the middle. He's going to get tagged up. Can't slide in right away because he knows he's going to be challenged. So it's going to be a first blood there for Epsilon. Josh in the feed with 1 more kill as well. You see, now Rogue, they're very spread out. This is not like what they were doing these first 3 rounds. They were playing together, they were playing fast. Now they're spreading out a little bit too much, and Epsilon's picking them apart.
I think that's what Epsilon have found. You know, they saw Nelson with that RPR, such a high fire rate. They would, you know, they're going into A again. Let's pin them in. Let's push from the middle. Let's take the long-range gunfights with the K-bars. It works out for them. So starting to read the Rogue playbook, if you like, here. And we do sit here at 3-2. Epsilon, a couple of rounds back-to-back now as they find themselves back in the game on map number 2.
Rogue was up 3 rounds. They've lost 2 straight. Epsilon seems to be kind of finding a groove, gaining some momentum. Looks like they're going to bring this one over towards B, Phil.
Yeah, this isn't a surprise because their A wasn't working. And the likes of Nelson, he was using that RPR and running out into almost mid-range gunfights. They were picking him apart, I think. So now they've found their little niche that they can work with. But this time, they're going full force. They're not even going for the plant, trying to get control. But however, flank is coming in from Nelson. He's only going to take down 1 answer back by the double. And now 2v3. Got RX and Panda scrambling for their lives almost. The bomb could go down. And we're going to see Epsilon. I think Dave has that in his hands, and yes, that will be going down very shortly. And a retake 2v3, very difficult.
But that type of flank is only going to work for this team of Rogue, is if the teammates on the other side kind of push through when he's causing that distraction. Nelson gets 1 kill, he gets taken out right away. We jump on with Panda and GodRX, and they're backing up. Like, you got to push forward when Nelson's coming on that flank.
And it really just showed the likes of Nelson with that RPR Evo, fantastic in A. But when you put him anywhere on the map near B, the most he's going to do is pick up 1, and that was shooting someone in the back. I think Epsilon are starting to realize that. That's 3 back-to-back now, and Epsilon starting to find their feet here in the search and destroy. This European squad coming over here with a lot of high hopes. A lot of the eyes were all on Splice, of course, after their victory in the Stage 1 playoffs. Which also came to a shock of a lot of people here. Can Epsilon take a second map? Going into this one, again, we're going to see the attacking side of Rogue. This does surprise me because I thought they'd go full force into A again. They're starting to slow things down.
Okay, well, looks like, oh, they are going to bring it over towards A, but they're going to go down through this underpass here, which is a route it was very odd. I mean, they start going over towards B, but that's the staircase goes straight down there, so they don't want to be seen right away when they get in towards A. It's going to catch Epsilon off guard. And you see Epsilon, they rotated everybody towards B. They got tricked here as the bomb now gets planted at A.
And how dangerous is this? You're running in K-Bar versus RPR Evo against the likes of Nelson. You're going to get shredded. GodRX with the first, E-Rad in hand. Johnny finds the second, and surely all but over. Hawkey takes 1 to the grave, makes it 2. He does have overdrive, but 25 seconds. It's doable, but with the wolf packing of Rogue, that is not going to happen. 4-3. And again, just that change of pace. They just took 10, maybe even 5 seconds just to take a bit of a diverse route there towards A, and it threw Epsilon completely off guard.
I mean, Rogue, it's clear what they want to do, right? They want to get in towards A with those submachine guns, get bombed down, force those close quarter engagements against Epsilon. They're winning the rounds and they're able to get that action started, but when they're not able to force that action on Epsilon, Epsilon is able to pick them apart.
Okay, well, expected play here for Epsilon would have been to go to B. Josh is going to be watching the flank here, but no, actually, joined up with them is going to be an A, and we've got 2 players from Rogue pushing through the middle, making 3 coming from behind. This could be dangerous, because Nelson, again, that close range gun, the RPR, he's going to find one. Oh, is he going to? Yes, he will. Taken down and taken damage. 2 versus 3 right now. Josh and Vortex. These were the double that took down LG with a 2v4, but not going to be in the same position. Now Vortex a 1v3, make it a 1v2. That's going to be it, as we see Rogue 1 round away from making the series 2-0.
Be a huge map win for Rogue. They can go up 2-0 in this series. Because quite frankly, even if they lose it, I mean, you just get those maps, man. Just get those maps on the board with those tie scenarios when it comes down to that map count. Every map matters here in group play.
I mean, they win the series, and straight away they're hopping up the ladder. They're not 5th anymore. They'll be sitting at, what, 3rd place in their pool instantly, with a lot more games to play. 9 of 4, got Rex, he's got reactive armor. Panda has his payload, Nelson's 1 kill away. This should be all over. Godorex uses reactive to stay alive there, and now with a 3v2, this should be Rogue's game in the bag, but Vortex with the beatdown. And Godorex looking a little bit confused.
Yeah, it's actually Vortex who gets behind enemy lines, so they have no idea where these 2 players on Epsilon are. It's going to be Panda, though, taking out Vortex. We have Dave, the last one alive here for Epsilon, trying to keep their hopes alive in this match. It's going to be Panda using the FTL.
Where is he? Dave gets the 1v2. And the FTL. I think he confused himself with that one.
He seemed like he had no idea where he ended up. I mean, he's looking at melee, he's looking to his left, and it's going to be Dave clutching up a big 1v2.
Big 1v2, takes out his FTL, takes out the reactive armor. I know one play, I think Nelson was very close to unlocking it. Yeah, still is, didn't make a kill, but now Dave with the double, not only is he still in the game, but he's got camo. We should be seeing a 5-5 here if he uses this correctly.
Oh, without a doubt. You see he's going to go in over towards A, pop the active camo. He's going to push the 1 player off the bomb. He's going to be able to take out Panda first. It'll be Hockey following it up. So it'll be a man advantage here for Epsilon. They have control of the A site.
Godorex, 11 kills to his name. Can he add to the tally in a 2v3? Numbers are against him right now, but with 60 seconds left on the clock. Oh no, Josh gets the better move, the ERAD, and we're going to a round 11. This could be a very big choke for Rogue. When it was 5-3,
oh man,
that game should have been over. They had reactive armor, they were sticking together. This is tough if you're a Rogue fan out there.
It's a really tough map for Rogue if they were to drop it here to Epsilon. They had complete control. You know, they have every utility you could have wanted going into that round. Nelson so close to active camo.
He needs to almost bait his team out and trade, pick up the camo, use the camo. However, Epsilon, wolfpacking through the middle here. Straight away, first blood goes to none other than Dave. Traded out. And that was Nelson. Nelson is down, no camo.
Why would you do that? I mean, if you're the bomb carrier in that U area, I mean, why are you challenging first, especially when you're so close to active camo? Now Panda's gonna fall. Things are just unraveling here for Rogue. So it'll be Johnny, the last one alive here in a 1v3.
Definitely not over, but you've got to favor Epsilon in this. He's nothing to play with. No payload. He's gonna find one and actually gets behind cover. For me, Hawkey and Vortex, a long-time duo. They should be able to pin him down. Not gonna happen. 6-5 to Epsilon in game number 2. When it was 5-3 and Reactive and FTL were on the side of Rogue, I never thought I'd be saying that, but the series is tied, the European squad. They show their experience in some sense against Rogue. How will Rogue cope with that going into Uplink? That has got to be demoralizing, Matt.
Yeah, and I mean, Nelson in that final round, he's so close to active camo. He has the bomb. a challenge is over at you. You maybe need another player there for the Rogue team to go challenge, and then you could have Nelson pick up 1 kill. I mean, you turn that into a 3v3. You have active camo. You can get the bomb down at A. That is a very winnable round. I just don't think they play that correctly.
Yeah, I think at 5-3, yes, we talked about, the choke of the reactive armor and FTL. But also, I think the active camo, good use from Dave as well. Going into 5-5, they close it out. However, after the break, we'll be going to map 3, Uplink on throwback. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CWL Anaheim Open here. Epsilon, the European squad, facing off against Rogue, North American open bracket team, finding themselves in pool play. We're tied at 1-on-1. Uplink Throwback is coming up next. Joining me, Matt, Mr. X Morello. This is a good game.
Yeah, and Rogue had a really good chance to go up 2-0 in this series. They've looked very strong coming out of the open bracket. I would be very worried if I'm Epsilon going into the uplink, because you've already lost the respawn game mode to this Rogue lineup.
Well, we've already seen one wink. Will it come from Dave? That's the question. I'm going into this one with a little bit more even-minded, because I think I underestimated the likes of Rogue coming into this. I thought Epsilon, they took down LG. They were great against the North American squads, the powerhouses. And I'm European. No bias, of course. Yeah. However, Rogue are a team, I've heard of the likes of Nelson, Johnny as well. Not heard much of GodRx myself personally, but a player which has been around for quite a while. But you said coming into this one, familiar faces, not surprised, obviously, they're in the pool play, and they can make a real run for it, especially in this pool where there's only a couple of teams with one win under that belt.
Yeah, I mean, Pander, he's gotten some good experience, playing with Luminosity over in ESWC. GodRx, he's been on some teams before. He's never really kind of gotten there, gotten to this kind of pro level, but he's always been a player in the runnings, somebody in the scene that we've known about for a while. Then Johnny and Nelson, they played for 100 Thieves last year. It doesn't work out really well in stage 2. They bounced around, in some teams at the beginning of Infinite Warfare, but two very talented players.
Well, They've seemed to made a strong squad here. They've fought their way through open bracket. And you know what? A lot of teams haven't. You know, the likes of Millennium, they fell short. And, you know, it's difficult. It's difficult in that open bracket. We walk past it in the morning. You see so many teams fighting out, and only 4 make it, you know, into these pools. And this is one of the best.
It's kind of daunting. It's like we only see really the 4 teams that make it out, obviously.
Yeah.
We don't get a chance to watch a lot of the open bracket games, but you see how many people are here in the venue and like how many stations they have to set up just to get through the open bracket. And you got to imagine, I mean, I played in open brackets back in 2006, not as big as this, but that was even like a draining task. I can't imagine teams that start in open now, you have to go through, you know, 140, 160 teams to get all the way just to play against pro teams after that. It's such a difficult road.
Yeah, they've put everything, of course, into yesterday. They fought their way through, and rightly so, and deservedly so. We saw what they could do on map 1 if you missed it. We saw Rogue 250. It was a close one, I think, to around 230-ish. But again, some misplays maybe with the payload abilities. Strong slaying coming in from Rogue. To be honest, Epsilon, they came in a little bit flat on the towards the later stages of map 1. However, S&D, 3-0 it was to Rogue. Bounced back, Epsilon 3-3, and then from there, Epsilon, you know, lost a couple, but they kept composure, and I think they just started to understand really what Rogue was about.
I do still feel like, even though Rogue loses map 2, they were definitely the team that was in control, definitely the team that kind of gave that one to Epsilon. They had around a 1v2 where they've already burned FTL and reactive armor. They lose it. No, Dave clutches a 1v2, and in the final round, you give Nelson the bomb with active camo. He tries to challenge by you, not the first person you'd want challenging there, being so close to camo, and he drops. Epsilon able to clutch it up at the end, but still, you felt like Rogue, I want to almost say they were the better team in that S&D.
I agree, and to be honest, we should be going into this 2-0 to Rogue. It should be, however, it isn't. Dave and Epsilon, they clutch up here as we do get into a throwback uplink. And, you know, going into this one, a completely different game mode. And Epsilon, you know, sometimes will just, you know, almost slay a little bit too much and not focus on that objective. I hope that's not the case this time. I want to see the likes of Hawkeye and Vortex getting a lot more involved with that objective when needed. However, no easy task against this North American squad of Rogue. Let's kick things off with Panda.
And when we were cycling through some of the players on Epsilon, I noticed, you know, a little bit more NV4s than a lot of the teams you would see, you know, on a map like Throwback. Usually this is a map very heavy in ERADs and K-bars, so we'll have to pay attention in the kill feed of what weapons the side of Epsilon's going with. You see Dave and Hawkeye both picking up kills with the NV4 at the beginning. But I feel like on the offensive end, it's going to be very difficult to be the aggressors with that weapon.
Yeah, and one thing we said all through the CWL last year in particular was Hawkeye. A lot of the pro players just said, yeah, he'll put big numbers on the scoreboard, but he's a scoreboard player, and he won't be able to translate that into victories. I hope that isn't the case. I think he's learned from the experience of the likes of Josh, where he needs to start working more as a team, and that's where the success for Epsilon has come. However, the drone back and forth right now in the hands of Rogue, pushing up towards blue, and traded out. That's Vortex and Goderet. But now on the push, and the aggression is coming in from Rogue.
And you just see the position. I mean, it's kind of something that, you know, I think players, you know, some people in the community argued for a while. It's like, well, you see a 1-point throw go in there from Johnny, they get the first points on the board, but, oh, it doesn't matter what weapon you have, right? Like, it does.
It really
like,
does.
To me, it does. Like, it just, like, kind of, you're able to force different things in different areas on the map, and then, like, for instance, like, you try and make the play that Johnny just made with a K-bar and ND4, you're just not as, like, fast. You're not able to get in there and pick up those kills as quick. So I think definitely the weapons come into play on a map like this.
Johnny, slither of help there as he does get away. He's going to find another and taken down. Strong communication coming in for Epsilon. However, only 1 point made in the first 90 seconds, as what we will be seeing all 5 minutes until we flip the sides. But as it stands right now, Josh with a bit of a slow start, picking up his first kill, and the drone, it's heading towards this right side. It looks like this is Epsilon's choice of path. That's going to go straight over and in. No interception coming in there from Rogue. We're going to get things tied up with 2 minutes played.
Yeah, no reason for Epsilon to try and force that one in for 2. They tie the score up at 1 apiece. But now Rogue getting aggressive towards the middle of the map. They have drone control. You see Pander, he is pushed up to a very nice spot, but he cannot pick up any kills. And Nelson stuck in a very difficult spot with the drone. He's actually able to stay alive for long enough to throw it down. Johnny coming up, able to pick up 1 kill. Epsilon trades that out. They hold serve on the defensive end.
And again, this drone goes back in the hands of Epsilon. Do they choose that same path, that right-hand side for them towards the barn? It looks like they are heading that way, but heading straight into Panda. Dave He's just wiggled his way through. A one-point play maybe on the card, straight over a well-practiced, well-rehearsed play from Epsilon. And you know what? It was pretty uncontested. Josh finds himself a double now, and that drone, it has been reset, and it goes straight into the hands of Nelson. He's making a run for it.
Yeah, he's got one teammate there in support. It's going to be Pander. Nelson going to get a one-point throw off. And just like Proof was talking about on the desk, man, he was saying the things that Nelson can do with the drone in Uplink. You see it right there.
Yeah, straight away impacting his team. With 3 minutes played, we get things tied up at 2-2. These teams really are inseparable at the moment. Dave and Vortex put up a double. Oh, melee comes in from Vortex, last one alive there for a second. We do get the respawn coming in from Rogue. A one-point play, it looked sloppy, it was just to the right-hand side there. And we'll see Rogue keep on to this tie just for a little bit longer. Again, that drone, though, it seems to be really pushed up towards that top side of the minimap.
Yeah, and Rogue, they pick up 3 quick kills. I mean, they do not want to reset this drone after the miss comes in. They want to put it in for points, and you see the position they're in. Hawkey was out of position at the beginning of this push. Johnny kills him, comes up the middle of the map, able to get one on the cuts. It's going to be Pander settling for a one-point play. It'll be Rogue jumping up 3-2.
And with 3 teammates going down, that's all you could ask for. Great stuff from Panda just to secure that under pressure. He's got 10 kills to his name, but Johnny, 15 and 8, really showing up in game number 3. 3 players do fall down, and maybe this could be the first dunk of the series so far. And yes, it will. Epsilon take the lead with only 60 seconds left on the clock. However, they may be overextended a little bit too much. There is one player coming off spawn. Vortex will be having the job of staying alive. But luckily, the slaying power from Epsilon showing now towards the later stages.
I was just going to say, Dave, double negative, but doing a nice job staying in the back of the Rogue base alive long enough. It's only going to be a 1 there. Vortex jumps up, gets killed, but the drone falls into the goal. But Dave did a nice job going on a 2 streak back there, just putting a lot of pressure on Rogue.
Talking of pressure, Johnny's pushing forward past the drone and caught out there. Vortex catches him from behind. And with only 25 seconds, you expect maybe one more push. And ironically enough, Epsilon, they've snuck through. There's one play, GodderX caught out of position, a one-point play. It looks good. However, we're not seeing an interception. Again, that is something that you may see from the likes I've seen of LG, Splice. That interception game is just on point. Their defense is strong. Doesn't look the same with Rogue.
Yeah, GodderX is out of position on that play. And the opposing team's top window was not able to pick up any kills. It'll be Epsilon going up 6-3 going into half number 2.
And funnily enough, there, Hawkey just shaking his head. Not happy with that first half at all. Not sure exactly what that's about, whether it's just the last couple of plays there from him individually. But we've got 5 minutes left on the clock here. Of course, as we flip the sides, we'll see Epsilon attacking from that barn. And straight away, Hawkey does have a Scarab. He's rocking the MV4. He's very close to Overdrive as well. And Overdrive sometimes not even used in Uplink, but this time will be in the hands of Hawkey.
It's not as effective, I feel like, as it was last year.
I agree.
Right? I think last year you were able to use Overdrive in Uplink and really make some incredible plays. This year, I think it's definitely Active Camo, the one that has made a big difference. I feel like a lot of the maps are just really, close quarters, like a lot of close engagement areas that where Overdrive, you start running and then you just run into an ERAD or you run into an NV4 at range. It's a lot harder to kind of wiggle around through the opponents.
Yeah, and we're going to see the payloads coming in very shortly. Hawkey and Vortex do have them. Johnny's just a kill away, I think, from Camo. Nelson and GodderX, though, going down. The drone has reset. It's just back in the middle. We're just seeing a bit of a bloodbath going on over at Lemon. But the Overdrive available for Hawkey. 20 and 13. Not shocked to see that. He's a very slay-heavy player. However, 8 and 14 for Dave. He's not having his best game of the series, so hopefully for him, he'll be wanting to step that up. 25 and 12 for Johnny, but when you're 3 points down, it doesn't even matter. But Nelson is trying to convert 1 point. So close, and I thought, you know what? Proof, he's a mastermind. He knows how this guy plays. I thought he pulled it off again.
I was going to say, that's a very difficult shot to hit there. I mean, he's the only one alive, has the drone in his hand. He's already weak, coming through a doorway. There's guys body blocking him, and Nelson almost able to hit that. Would have been a fantastic shot if he would have been able to connect. GodderX
doesn't connect enough with Daves. He does get taken down over by Lemon. And it's funny how we saw all the action going down at the top side of the minimap. And this side, we're seeing it go down at Lemon. Again, the drone this time is missed or intercepted for the favor of Epsilon. And now they can start a push of their own with 2 down. I wouldn't be surprised if we started to see maybe an Overdrive come into play.
Oh, this should be points for Epsilon. They have Rogue trapped in that top part of the minimap in that back alley. It'll be a 1-point play coming in there for Josh. But now the drone just didn't get moved up fast enough. I feel like if it did, that's definitely a 2-point play.
Godorex once again. We've seen him do this on both sides now, where he goes past the drone, enters this top building and starts to slay. It didn't work the first time. However, this time could be different. Finds himself the one. Josh does answer back. Very, very weak in the hands, though. Johnny trying to get away for this time. Nelson and Panda putting a couple to bed. And now this could be the start of something special for Rogue. They're 4 points down, 2 minutes 30 left on the clock. They need to start pushing this drone forward. And much unlike Epsilon, they're going straight and direct. It's a 1 point play, and again, no interception made. We're gonna see 4 points on the board for Rogue.
Yeah, they pass it forward to Panda. He's in a great spot, you know, behind those hay bales. He can just get that throw off from that position, not gonna get taken out. So now Rogue, down by 3. He had Johnny in the back of the base trying to get some type of control. He falls, and now Epsilon with a chance to put points on the other end.
That's a nice pass there. I think it's a manual one. Dave wiggling through his way through. He will be shot from behind, but no, the dunk comes in. He manages to get through, and you know what? He's staying alive, and that is the key part here. He's dragging these Rogue players back to their base. Nelson's picked up the drone and used overdrive. Bit of a solo play, a hero play, a lot of people would say. Is that a waste, or is that just a chance he needed to take?
I mean, he probably thinks that there's nobody home there for Epsilon. He's gotten out towards mid-map. Maybe he can pick up the drone and go on a fast break, but that is not the case. He gets taken out. The drone goes the opposite direction. And a game where Rogue looked to try and make a comeback, it is Epsilon who has blown it open.
Dave looks like he's passing to himself in the long run there, but no, Josh is actually still lingering around, waiting for that drone to move up. However, now he can start to follow it and make a play with 60 seconds, should I say, left on the clock, and down by 7 points. This is not looking good for Rogue. It wouldn't surprise me with 4 payloads if Epsilon actually put a couple more on the board.
Oh, no. I mean, Epsilon should be able to put more points on the board. They earned some score streaks there. Chance that we were on board with them. It'll be Hockey almost able to take out the second one there, which was Pander. But I mean, I think this is a game. Obviously, Epsilon should be able to take it. You see the Trinity rocket coming in. Josh gets taken out, but he returns the favor onto Nelson by dropping a missile right on top of his head. But 40 seconds left, Phil. This one looks to be Epsilon's for the taking.
Yeah, it really does. I never thought I'd see the site where we've got 4 or 5 payloads still with 30 seconds left to go. But in essence, it doesn't really matter. You know, does Dave need to use the camo? Absolutely not. He's tearing people apart, and he's going to get that drone and maybe use it for himself here. But the overdrive used, and that'll be converting points for Hawkey. Just making his stats even better, because Hawkey, a player which, you know, again, I said maybe was a little bit too slay heavy. He does both this game, 29 and 20, putting objective plays in as well. We've got every single player positive for Epsilon. A strong, strong game for them, and making a bit of a statement in game number 3, especially after losing map 1.
Yeah, 15-4 in favor of Epsilon. I believe Dave, you know, he got off to a slow start, finishes that one 22 and 22 with 8 points to his name. So a very good uplink game there from Dave.
Yeah, very hard to kind of lose an uplink when every single player is positive. You got, you know, +8, +4, 5 either side. And Dave, he started to heat up in that second half of the game, and now they're 2-1 up in the series. You know, they're going into another Hardpoint, which, if you missed it, map 1, they lost to Rogue. I think they'll want redemption, and I think they'll be a little bit more hungry and know what to expect. But Rogue definitely has what it takes to push it to map number 5.
Rogue giving away that game number 2. If they would have won game 2, we're looking at a series that, no, you're guaranteed that 5th game. And now you go into this Hardpoint where Epsilon, they've started to heat up a little bit. You know, they came back in the search and destroy in game 2. They thrashed you in game number 3 in the uplink. They look primed to take game number 4.
Yeah, they really do. They're heating up. The likes of Hawkey starting to slay out. For me, looking at Rogue, I want that hype back. I want Nelson to start getting hyped and getting his team pumped up, because you lose 2 back-to-back, but just in the fashion that they have, you can get deflated, you can get demoralized, and you can go into this just almost thinking about those other games, which is not what you want. You want to be going into this next Hardpoint very, very confident.
Well, I think you just can't dwell on what happened in game 2. Like, that's easily something Rogue could really just kind of be harping on. Like, you know, they're not even thinking about what went wrong in the uplink here in game number 3. They're just still kind of hung up on how they gave away game 2. You come in with so much confidence after you win game 1, you're looking good to win game 2, and that all gets taken away. It just makes it even worse.
Well, the next map coming up is going to be Breakout, and we know how much this map can be punishing for some teams. We've seen 100-point leads. We've seen 100-point leads gone and taken away as well. It really is about getting that strong start, the rotation onto cell block. And again, I think what's really crucial on this is score streaks. You know, when you see the likes of Trinity Rockets, Bombardment used at the likes of Grave, that's where we want to see, or that's where you will see, sorry, a lot of the leads kind of gained.
Yeah, this map is really snowballing. What I mean by that is like you take cell block, hill number 2. You can hold that one for a very long time. You get inside of it. Not really great routes for the attackers, so to speak, to kind of come back and take that hill back.
Yeah.
You can earn score streaks. You can earn your payload abilities a little bit faster. Then we go over to graveyard hill number 3. It's very open. You can use those Trinity rockets, the Scorchers, bombardments, whatever you're running. You can clear out the hill there. You can get control of Grave. Then you go over to Commissary, which is very close to that as well. What happens is you know, a team holds cell block, then they earn some streaks, then they earn Grave, then they earn Commissary. It just snowballs this game out of control in that team's favor.
I'm just thinking as well, Epsilon now, you know, they were back against the wall. They were 5-3 down on the S&D with already losing map 1. What was going through their heads, I can't imagine. But now they're thinking, we're just one map away from topping our pool. They're already in first. And this is the first open bracket game for Rogue, first pool play game for Rogue. And this really is for Epsilon just to say, you know what, we'll win this series. We can go back, look at all the other games, watch all these other teams play, and they're in a very comfortable position going into Championship Sunday.
Yeah, it's something Epsilon, you know, they had the opportunity to do during their Global Pro League week, and they were not able to do so.
Yeah,
so, you know,
absolutely.
they come in with a different mindset here. Hey, we need to put this away. We need to get out of group stages into winner's bracket. We cannot feel that sadness that we had during the Global Pro League where we didn't qualify for playoffs. We were so close. We need to get into the winner bracket here at Anaheim. It puts you in such a great position to go further in the tournament.
Okay, well, we're jumping on board with map number 4. Currently 2-1 in the lead is the European squad of Epsilon. I know a lot of fans back home, even the European players, everyone has a lot of friends within this team. You know, the team with a lot of them, Josh of the likes, has been everywhere. But Vortex, Hawkey as well, that duo that has been around for quite a while now. But Dave seems to be the X factor. I'm looking at Panda, I'm looking at Nelson to go off on this one. I wanted those assault rifles to really flourish. However, we'll have to see whether they have what it takes to replicate map number 1 in map 4 and push it to a game 5. Let's kick things off here on Breakout Hardpoint. And we're jumping on board. It's Vortex. He's using FTL for this one. And he's actually rocking an ERAD. Yeah, which just surprised me a little bit, actually.
Dave and Hawkey, specifically, those two players have come into this series, lights out in the respawn game modes. Vortex is the one who's been struggling, 0.86 KD before this series began. So look to see if they can get him going. You know that Dave and Hawkey are going to bring it with the NB4s. You need this strong ERAD play out of Vortex.
Now, this is how map 1 started, with a very dominated start for Epsilon. Rogue didn't let him put that down. We've got a split spawn coming in from Rogue, and a pinch maybe on the cards. Josh just take down Nelson, but got RX answering back. And now Trade's going out, a 2v2 in essence, but Nelson last alive there, and he's going to be in a bit... He's just come off spawn, should I say. And yeah, Epsilon keep control, 19-0.
And it's great for Epsilon because they have flip sides of the map. So Epsilon now controls the area that you want to control for cell block, hill number 2. You see the third arrow spawning up there. That is Hawkey on this side of the map. That's where you want to control. Now it's going to force Rogue to push all the way through, and they've done that. So that one kill that they got on Hawkey, look at now where Epsilon was spawning up. Arrow number 1 and number 3 that just popped up on your mini-map. Josh and Hawkey spawn so far away here from their teammates. They need to make this trek back to the hard point fast. Okay, well, Epsilon a very strong start. Let's have a listen to the communications coming in from the European squad.
No, he hasn't come there. Can we front down? I need help. He's getting
I spawned out P4 by the way.
I'm going far away, so you got football here, no? I'm
staying pushed out front. Actually, I better go.
I'm going to hit the right Dave still. I'm going to hit the right one early.
He's at...
Back to mid. Oh, fine. I'm rotating. There's 2 mid. One more push up, I'll see what we push him. Oh, he's got fucking raised. He saw 1 bullet at med. He saw 1 bullet at med. That's guy, but they're going to get the cave before us. No. There's 1-5. We can push this guy. We can push this guy.
Here we are.
Get out, spiral front, call out for it. Oh, he's so weak. Good. They're going to beat us. They're going to beat us. Spawn. I think he's spawn. He's in shadow. I think he's in shadow.
I don't see anything.
Nah, nothing. I'm going to scar Billy.
Alright, I'm trying to show down. Getting him mid.
One speed. He's stunned close, yeah, he's stunned.
I don't see anything.
I'm watching right, head glitch. It's my head glitch.
We can evade.
I'm watching right.
Yeah.
I think he's lying down. Close. Dead. Right down. Watch. So weak. He's on the right of it. Nice, Dave. Good shit, bro. That's good. Thanks. I am. We just style one behind us in a second. We just style you lot.
Well, Phil, they are definitely communicating. didn't really understand much from what was going on there, but that's like a typical Josh listen-in, right? So Josh really communicates a lot. I think probably even over-communicates. Now, you've been in the European scene for a while. Has his teammates liked that style of kind of communication, or if that's something that's caused problems?
I mean, actually teaming with Josh, I used to love it because he would always keep up that small talk. We'd never hear silence. We'd always hear probably, you know, the same thing called out 18 times in a row. But at least we get that call out. It's nothing worse than having someone on your team not able to communicate. But the reason you probably not understand, you got a bit of Welsh, bit of Geordie, and even the Birmingham Brummie accent, which probably means nothing to you, Matt. But it's a wild mix.
I don't know where those places are located. Don't know. So I can't really tell you. I have no opinion on that, Bill. But no, in seriousness, I could not go through that as a player. Like if I hear like the same call out 3 times, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like now I'm just angry at you. Like commissary. Okay, I get it. There's a guy at commissary. Like just shut up about it already. Like I'm trying to focus on the game, but I can understand how, you know, keeping up that small talk, keeping up that energy can definitely be good for a squad.
I think that's more it. I think it's the energy and the hype. And at that point you heard it was like 100 to like 12 or something ridiculous for the likes of Epsilon. And I think that's what pumps up the likes of Dave and gives him that confidence. As you can hear, but Vortex picking up a double now, and we do see Rogue actually getting back into this. Godorex on a 6-kill streak, 13 kills to his name. Most in the lobby right now. He's 100 away from bombardment.
And that's huge. I mean, he earns the streaks. Now we talked about how important those are over at Graveyard. If Rogue can hold that cell block, man, you can start using these streaks, break open Grave, they get right back into this hardpoint game.
On the hill, Godorex, he does go down. The bombardment not picked up. Does have the Trinity in his back pocket for a bit of a later usage. Porky finds himself a double, and the triple not going to come in. Again, Godorex finds his 14th, but heading over to the middle, no one able to get control, but with the last 30 seconds looming, we do see Epsilon starting to pan out a little bit better over the top. And I think what is on everyone's mind is that next rotation towards cell blocks, Matt.
Yeah, if Epsilon able to get control of cell block, that'll actually force Rogue to just maybe even use one of those streaks, break that back spawn area, or just kind of keep pushing through that wall run, pushing through the long routes towards the middle of the map or over towards Grave to try and break it. So it looks like Epsilon will get control of cell block first. I think the story in this one is, can Rogue break it fast? Because if they can, that sets them up for a comeback, potentially.
Well, we're going to see Hawkeye again. I've said it time and time again. 4-kill streak, but another double kill sets himself apart. And this time, Epsilon, they've got the rotation. They do have the lead. It's coming up on 100 points. But I said before this game, we've seen 100 points. You know, leads just blown away. Anything can happen. And I am looking at the streaks coming into, of course, the next one. But Rogue, they've broken straight into the cell block.
And that is huge for Rogue. 3 kills in the kill feed in their favor. They get right into cell block. Still a ton of time left. 30 seconds left on this hill, Phil. They can get it. Now, they'll be about, 110, so to speak, going into Graveyard if they can hold the rest of this time. Then you have those streaks. You can potentially bring it to, 150, 180. You're right back in. You have a puncher's chance of winning this game.
Yeah, it's almost, you don't need to rotate super early with those streaks in the back pocket. And Epsilon probably doesn't know he has them. Bombardment is available for Godorex, actually. I didn't think he unlocked it, but he did. With 5 seconds left, he's actually rotated towards that, and there is one player trying to cut them off. It is Josh from the side, and he is going to find him and take control of the building there just for a second. Immediate Bay just going down, and now that 100-point lead now only 70.
Yeah, but here comes the streaks. It's going to be GodRx with the Trinity Rocket. He can hover this up, let his teammates get forward. It's going to be a Scarab kill coming in from Vortex on the side of Epsilon. So, oh man, that is something that cannot happen. So you invest a streak into this hill. He gets one with it. The rest of his teammates all fall. Now you have to start thinking about investing this other streak into this hardpoint, which is not good, because then you have nothing later in the game.
Yeah, just the way they avoided that Trinity Rocket was a really, really clever play. They did have the cover of the cave here, and as you can see, with 20 seconds left, that was a very, very quick kill. They took all the points away from it, and they're thinking about the commissary, and we're talking about bombardment. That's still in the play, and it can work well for you on commissary, but again, there's buildings everywhere you can just dip into.
Yeah, it's not great on commissary. I think you may have wanted to use maybe the bombardment for, Graveyard and the Trinity Rocket over here at commissary, but that's just nitpicking. I mean, at that point, you're using whatever streak you think you can get in to break that hard point, but it's Epsilon getting control of commissary first. It's going to be a push coming in for, okay, so Rogue, they used the bombardment, but they had all 4 players there. They were picking up all the kills. they probably did not need it at all right there.
Yeah, again, a tough call. You've got to kind of invest. You're looking at Epsilon at 210. You're thinking, I may as well use it if I don't hear. You know, they get a couple more points. We lose our gunfights. Maybe a bit of lack of confidence coming in from Rogue, and rightly so with Epsilon storming ahead here with, again, a 90-point lead now. Johnny trying to make something of this game. 20 seconds left. It's not going to end on the commissary. We are going to see another rotation off hills. But how close can Epsilon get? That is the question. This man, Vortex, has been on fire for the last 2 games. 24 and 15, a 3-kill streak. And the fantastic thing that I love about Epsilon right now, in about 2 seconds, everyone has over a minute on the hill.
And it is huge that Vortex has shown up in this series because, we talked, Davies had some big moments. He was great in the uplink. But Vortex, man, he has been very strong. Dave leading all players in terms of, kills per respawn coming into this one. Has not performed well here in this game 4. Vortex has shown up in a big way, though.
It really has. Hawkeye as well. Those 2 players really just come into their element. A snapshot coming in there for Vortex. And Dave does clean up. And with 5 seconds left, you look across to the minimap. And that is going to be it unless we get to see one more break. Not going to happen. With a 120 lead there, 250 to 130. Epsilon closed the series out 3-1. They lost that first map. I'll say it, they should have lost the second, but no, they keep composed and they clean up here, still first in Pool B.
Yeah, map 2 is definitely a huge wake-up call for Epsilon. It's one that Rogue should have been able to put away in their favor. They should have gone up 2 on this series. But when you let these great teams hang around like Epsilon, they take advantage of it and they win the series 3-1.
Okay, for Epsilon, though, that's 3 North Americans taken down. They fell to their European counterpart. It just seems to be the story. We heard it time and time again last year. Their play style feeds, too much energy sometimes for these to handle. If you get used to it, like Red Reserve knew, they knew how to counter that. However, later in the tournament, will they be able to replicate it? The likes of Optic, FaZe, the big names out there, United, if you like it, coming in strong. We'll have to wait and see for that, but so far, so good for Epsilon. However, Rogue fans, it was a good show, and I've got to say, I was impressed with what I saw from Rogue. They clean out that S&D, we could have seen a whole new series. Yeah,
they were very strong in the search and destroy. You expected them to take that more times than not. But guys, we are going to go to a quick commercial break. The action will continue right after with another open bracket squad coming up on the main stage.